Well, hello, friends. I hope you're having a great day today. Welcome to Friday's edition of Take 5. We're in the series we've entitled Types and Shadows. You know what we're talking about. We're dealing with the fact of how the Bible teaches us and points to Jesus Christ from every book of the Bible, Old Testament, all the way through Genesis to Revelation. It all in some way is pointing to Him. And for the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about some events and characters and themes that point directly at Jesus Christ. This week, we're talking about how Adam is a type of Christ. I got two more that I want to share with you today, so let's jump right into it so we don't run out of time. Number one for today, Adam was husband to Eve. Christ was husband to the church. Adam was a type of Christ in that he was husband to that first woman created for him, Eve, and Christ is husband to the church. Now, you know, when you think about Adam as he carried out his duties there in the garden, naming the animals, no doubt he noticed they came in by pairs. And there was not another anywhere in the whole world like him. He was the only one of his kind. He was alone. And God said it's not good for man to be alone. So God said, I'll make a wife for him. So he caused a deep sleep to come upon Adam. He opened up his side, took out of a rib and formed woman from Adam's rib and from the dust of the ground and the flesh of Adam, and formed her there and brought her to Adam as his bride. Adam saw her and said, she is bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh, because he recognized she had been made from him. He said, she'll be called woman. And that's why the Bible said a man leaves his father and mother and is united with his wife, and the two become one flesh. And so we see a beautiful picture of Adam, that first man, that first son of God, receiving his wife Eve there as his bride. Now, Paul presents Adam and Eve, their marriage, he presents it as a type of Christ married to the church in the book of Ephesians. He says, husbands, love your wives just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. For this reason, a man will leave his father and mother and be united to his wife. The two will become one flesh. Same thing that was said there in Genesis. Then he says, this is a profound mystery, but I'm talking about Christ and the church. So this picture of Adam being wed to Eve is a picture of Christ being wed to the church. Now, the divine plan from God, open up Adam's side, take out that rib and form a helpmate that is suitable for him. Did it while he was sleeping. In like manner, if you recall, Jesus was hanging on the cross and a soldier stuck his spear in his side and opened up his side, and blood and water came out. Blood for the redemption, water for the cleansing, blood for the justification, water for the sanctification, and the very things necessary to make up a bride for Christ was taken right out of his side, just like Adam. And so when you see this, you see such a beautiful picture, that first man and woman, and then Christ being wed to the church. What a beautiful picture it is. Now, one thing, though, I think we ought to recognize here, where there is a little contrast between these two, is this. Adam loved his wife to a fault. He loved her so much that he wouldn't question anything that she said, anything that she did, and he was willing even to partake of the forbidden fruit to keep her company. Think about this. Adam was willing to fall with her from the paradise of God. He loved her to a fault. He was willing to fall with her from the paradise of God. Now, on the other hand, Jesus is on the opposite end of the field. In this perspective, he did not fall with his bride. We're his bride. He didn't fall with us, but he was willing to come all the way down to where we were so that he could raise us up. He gave himself, the Bible said, to deliver us. So he didn't fall with you and me, but he came as low as we were, wherever we were, and accepted us in whatever condition that we were in, and did what was necessary. He came as low as he had to deliver us, and I am so thankful that he did. The Bible said that God made him that knew no sin to become sin for us, so that we that don't know righteousness can become the righteousness of God through our union with Jesus Christ. I'm so thankful that he did. One final type and shadow. Adam lost the battle with sin in the garden. Jesus won the battle with sin also in a garden. Well, you know very well how Adam lost the battle with sin there in the Garden of Eden. He gave in to the temptation there. He failed. He did not subdue that serpent and put that temptation under his feet. And he gave in and he lost the battle with sin in that garden and had to forever be removed from that. Jesus, on the other hand, won the battle with sin in a garden. Now, I know what happened when he was put to the whipping post and how he was wounded for our transgressions and bruised for our iniquities and how the chastisement of our peace was on him and with his wounds we're healed. I know very well what happened there. And I know what happened when he hung on the cross and they stretched him wide and hung him high. And on that 6 hour into that crucifixion, he hung his head down and cried with a loud voice and said, "Father, into your hands I commit my spirit." And he gave up the ghost and he won our salvation. I'm aware of that, but the battle with sin was won before he ever got there. It was won in the Garden of Gethsemane. After Jesus partook of the Passover, that we call it the Last Supper with the disciples, he went across the brook Kidron near the Mount Olives into a garden called Gethsemane with his disciples to pray. He said, "My soul is exceedingly worn and pressed unto death, and I need to go in here and pray." I want you to pray with me. He went with his disciples, and then he carried Peter, James, and John just a little bit further, and then he went a little further from them, and he fell down on his knees. He pulled that great prayer shawl up over him, and he began to pray, saying, "Father, if there is some other way than for me to have to drink this bitter cup, please let it pass from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but yours be done." Matthew says, "If it is possible." When you read Mark, Jesus says these words, "God, I know all things are possible with you." And Jesus finds himself really caught between "if it is possible" and "I know all things are possible." And every one of us have been caught there in the middle at some point or the other. Jesus knew the best thing was to decide, "Father, not my will, but yours be done." And when he made that decision, he won the battle over sin right there. It was a done deal because it was in the garden where he decided, "I'm going through the whipping post. I'm going through the shame. I'm going through the spitting. I'm going through them plucking my beard. I'm going through them pressing that crown of thorns into my head. I'm going through the cross and the nails and the nagging and the belly aching and the scourging. I'm going through all of those things." That was decided right there in the garden. Adam decided he was going to give in to sin in a garden. Jesus decided that he was going to overcome sin in a garden. And I'm so thankful that he did. I can't really say that enough. I'm glad he won that battle over sin for our sakes. It's the reason we're saved. It's the reason we're free. It's the reason that we have a reason to celebrate this great Christmas season. Hey, I've got to get out of here. It's been good being with you today. I look forward to worshiping with you this Sunday, the last Sunday before Christmas. It's going to be great. We're going to have a great time together. I look forward to seeing you there. Hey, have a great weekend, friend. And remember this, trust the Lord. He will never fail you.